Too much.
For us or them?
For both of you.
Welcome, everybody, back to the apocalypse. This is Live Free Radio, presented to you by DJ Leonetikos. And I'm excited to get into the next, well, all of the next episodes, really, but especially these next three. So today I'm going to be talking about synchronicity, going into a little bit of depth about it, more than the previous explanation. The video after this is going to involve fractals, things like syncretism. The one after that will be about awareness and everything. And I'm going to, throughout those three videos, and probably throughout the whole damn podcast, explain and connect all of these deeper level things in relationship to God. And again, in previous videos, you can hear my explanation of what I've defined God as. Okay, the only creative force that created everything, the aware, intelligent, oriented intelligence creating life. We could go on and on about it, but that's essentially the definition of God that I have been talking about. So I also want to just point out there that later on when the music starts, I'm going to be playing some really awesome garage music, but a lot, in fact, I'm sure pretty much all of the music that I make myself, that I play, like my intro song that you just heard, as well as all these other mixes and music by all these amazing artists, are findable on YouTube. For example, you can see on my header on the left side of the screen, Future Garage Mix number 136. Google it. Go to Facebook. It's there. And more often than not, the song lists for the artists are in those mixes. Okay, anyway, moving on. What is synchronicity, and what are some examples in life? Some examples of synchronicity would be seeing the same numbers showing up over and over in your life, or you simply being aware of different numerical patterns. Every time you look somewhere where there's some sort of numerical value, you'll either see triple-digit numbers or you'll see numerically relevant patterns. And you'll be like, oh my God, what are these patterns? They're obviously patterns I'm noticing, but what do they mean? They might seem coincidental, but yet you know on a deeper level that they're actually connected to something bigger. Okay, you've met somebody out of the blue who talked about an event or said some sentences which in fact sounded like answers to what you've been asking yourself recently. So if I'm sitting there wondering about life and if I'm gonna find some answers to some things and I'm wondering about life, and then all of a sudden I turn on the TV really quick, and then the first thing that I hear is somehow fits perfectly for an answer to what I was just wondering. It's like, how did that happen? Right? That's called synchronicity. Perfect timing. Things happen for you just when you need them the most. Like sometimes you'll be aware that right in the middle of a lesson you're learning, and then certain things happen in a very perfectly timed, intelligent manner that allow you to be aware and learn the lesson right on perfect timing. These things are not coincidences, they are synchronicity. There's a book by David Wilcock which he has titled The Synchronicity Key, which I suggest. I actually haven't read it, but I've been wanting to. I like David Wilcock, despite what some people think. I think he's amazing. Help and support appear in your life when you expect less from people you've never met before. Okay, well, in order for you to really learn some of the most important lessons that you have not been learning but really need to learn, you're going to end up having to go to the hard knocks side of the train tracks in order to learn it. You're going to have to get a hard, rude awakening somehow for you to learn it. And so during that hardship, during rock bottom, if you've ever been there, homeless, whatever, down and out, There's going to be times where it seemed like somehow perfect timing, somebody came into your life and gave you something that really was the reason you're still alive that day. You know, somebody came by and was really nice to you where they haven't been in the past. Okay, these little bits of support are massive and profound, and to some people they're like, wow, I really needed that, thank you. I don't know how that manifested, but hell yeah, I'm glad it did. So again, these things are not random. They're a part of an intelligent design designed to help you learn and see truth. And this podcast is pretty much about just the truth, period. On its core essence, its core level, this is certainly involving what you can call truth and not the truth. It can just be simple, just truth. Because it's in everything and it's in everywhere, absolutely all the time. So, funny enough, here's kind of a complicated synchronicity. Might not be complicated for some, but for me, you know, I can get into these abstract depths of certain things where I somehow was able to become aware of them. So when I was younger, before I was aware of any of this deeper level stuff, even close to being aware of it, I kind of was aware of certain aspects of it, but without being aware that I was aware of those things. So there's many varying levels of awareness that you can be on. You can be aware of a piece of information, but you can be not aware of the fact that you are aware of that information, but you're just aware of the information. Or you can be aware of both. You can be aware on many different levels. Okay? Anyway, when I was younger, I would have very deep philosophical thoughts in my head all the time growing up, and I was like, what the hell is this? I have no idea. It's interesting, but I don't know what to do with it, don't know what's going on. So then later on in life, once I started quote unquote waking up, so to speak, I was starting to have dreams that corresponded all too intelligently, way too perfectly with a lot of the thoughts that I've had growing up. Growing up, I was a kid who wanted to always ask why. I was always questioning everything. There was this aspect to my life where it seemed like as if I was perfectly fit for so-called the hero's journey. I had certain traits that were just very similar. I always held integrity to a high degree, even though I didn't necessarily even understand or was aware of what integrity was until I was taught what it was by elders in my life. So then next thing you know, I start having dreams involving me being a part of something. In the dream, I don't know what's going on, but I know that I'm a part of a group of other people, and we're working and we're training to be a part of something big. It's very important, whatever it is we're doing. And then later on in life, I start realizing that I'm literally doing that. I am actually sitting here playing a role of some kind as much as I can into helping people realize this stuff, because it's absolutely massive what's going on in the world right now. There's a reason that this podcast is called Welcome to the Apocalypse, Live Free Radio. There's a reason for these things. There's a reason for this entire podcast. In fact, there's a reason that you're even listening to it. If you're somebody who has found their way to this podcast, you are supposed to find it. You're supposed to hear the information because you're ready. Plain and simple. And if you don't believe me, then question yourself and question it. You can never go wrong while questioning everything. You don't got to be so biased, but question it. Just for a simple fact of that you want to find the truth. That's it. So synchronicity. Let's just say that something crazy happened. It seemed coincidental. It wasn't coincidental because you were able to correlate it to a bigger picture that for you was painting a bigger narrative. So obviously it was synchronicity and it was not coincidence. So for all you out there who have had these experiences, leave some comments below. I would love to hear what your guys' explanations and experiences were involving synchronicity. But let's say you've had these experiences. Let's look at the facts here. Okay, let's say you've had a synchronistic experience. Was that synchronistic experience intelligent? Does it seem that synchronistic experience had intelligence behind its design and how it came about in your life, obviously it was just too good to be random, right? So it has to have intelligence. So where do you think that level of intelligence that's probably way far superior than genius perspective, genius intelligence, where do you think it even came from in the first place? If it's manifesting in your life in a certain kind of way, that the only explanation would be God. It would be a godlike sort of interaction or a godlike sort of experience. And then you can go into an entire different, rabbit hole or conversation that kind of goes down into connecting God to everything, every aspect of your life. Because you're like, okay, well, if I had a synchronistic experience, what does that even mean for my life? If let's just say God was somehow involved to some degree in that synchronistic experience based off of the sheer level of intelligence on how you were able to experience it and be aware of it alone, indicates God was involved. And if that was the case, then God has some sort of reasoning to involve you, okay? Then you can ask yourself, well, how separate am I from God? What is God? If God is so abstract and omnipotent and all-encompassing, okay, then I kind of embody God. A lot of people don't realize that their true parts of themselves, the good parts, the really intelligent parts, not the angry and frustrated egotistical parts, are like inherently godlike, inherently intelligent, down to its core, down to the fact that human beings are overall super creative. Human beings alone create things, and that's what we do. That's like the main thing that we get it in on Earth, is through creative expression. Okay, well, if you study God, the only thing God really did was create everything. So if the main inherent core principle of how we manifest our reality on Earth for human beings is for us to express ourselves, and then, of course, then you go down the other philosophical conceptual thinking of that, well, my reality, which is created by my thoughts, as well as creative expression, comes out into the external world and then reflects off of the things that we think are there, but are really just magnetized energy fields of some kind, which are actually just our thoughts. And so everything gets reflected off of these magnetic fields and then back into us as an experience, like a smell, touch, taste, something we see. So then you can say that you're creating your entire reality. So again, please tell me how you are not inherently like God at that point in time, down to its essence, not just on the surface level. This creative expression is one of the most powerful modalities that human beings have to overall essentially operate on Earth in this environment. Creative expression. Very important. Because that's just the thing that we connect into experiencing external reality. It gets into another layer of depth when you want to talk about just the internal part, or just the reality of these things that we think are not a part of us, but they are. Many realms we can explore, so synchronicity is one thing, but I think something more powerful to acknowledge is the fact that you can connect synchronicity and relate it to God. And then, of course, what you're in essence actually doing is you're connecting yourself to God. And again, if you haven't heard it a million times growing up, probably something involving you getting back to source, getting back to God. A lot of us have heard this shit throughout our whole lives, whether you grew up Christian but then ended up hearing about Eastern philosophy or Eastern thinking and agree with it or not. The fact is a lot of people, not everybody, but we're not necessarily all the way talking about tribal people. We're talking about most of the developed Earth at some point in time having access to this information. which, as we go deeper into this entire thing, which is what this whole podcast is, we'll find out the truth. And it's stuff that's not really even hard to prove. It's like look at human beings on the most core based essence level. Nothing surface related. Okay? There's nothing short of special awesomeness that human beings are. And all of those awesome core principles, those awesome core essences of humanity is relatable to God directly. When we use the definition of God as I have described, which is basically energy of some kind, that is not just an energy, but it's intelligent designed, it's purposefully motivated, which means there is a reason, and the reasoning is profound, all-encompassing. That's a very powerful phrase there, all-encompassing, which means that what I just described, or what we are going to simply call God, is something that permeates in and out of every single thing you can conceive of naturally, the creative force behind it all, as well as the thing that gets to experience the creation. So if you if you build cars, for example, if you like to modify trucks, or if you like to build rat rods, or whatever it is, bikes, anything, then when you're done with your new rat rod that you've built, let's just say, you'll want to experience it. You'll want to drive it. You'll want to operate it. You'll want to have everything to do with it because you built it. That's what God is like as well. So God has created everything that you can perceive of, that you can even think of. God made it, and you are God, and you are God experiencing its own creation down to a focused level. Okay, God created the laser beam. God is also the one holding the laser beam, pointing it, playing with it at the same time. So that's what's happening, but on a grander scale. And you can go up the layers and have core concepts such as the golden ratio or the fractals that you're seeing on this video right now. And you can actually relate those exact patterns down to the mathematical number and relate it to all of our entire life as humans, what we know about planets, math, gravity, magnetism, all of it applies everywhere. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the truth. The truth is the only thing that's already there, that was always there, that is always going to be there. That's the most only thing that's always there. If it changes, it's not the truth. It's okay to witness or experience, but it's not actually the truth, and it doesn't actually exist in the way that we think it does. The only thing that we know exists, period, are all of the intelligence behind everything, but that's it, though. Okay? So, synchronicity, seeing the triple-digit numbers, meeting somebody in your life that was just too ridiculously supposed to be there, you thinking about something that you've been wondering about, and then meet somebody who the first thing they say is the answer to that which you have been asking. These things are synchronicities. They are intelligent. They are obviously very, very easily relatable to God. And this is going to, of course, segue into fractals and syncretism, because the syncretism itself is, to a certain degree, synchronicity as far as I understand it, but on a way crazier level. Way crazier level. But we'll get that taken care of in the episode number 8. And for now, I'm hoping to give everybody an amazing experience on the really epic garage music I'm about to play. And so with that being said, live free, everybody. This is DJ Leoneticos logging off, and welcome to the apocalypse.
lost our minds. Time took over you. I never knew what I was in for. We lost our minds. Time took over you. I never knew what I was in for. I'm over you. We lost our minds. Time took over you. I never knew what I was in for. I'm over you. We lost our minds. Time took over you. I never knew what I was in for. I'm over you. Over you. I'm over you. What I was in for. I'm over you. What I was in for. I'm over you. We lost our minds. over you. Over you. What I was in for, I over you.
Welcome back. This is Live Free Radio, and welcome to the apocalypse, everybody. This is DJ Leonetikos signing off.